Okay, wait.
Yes. Sage!
Yeah, we're gonna set the mood.
Yay! Okay, I was hoping you would do this. Hello, listeners of the Art Versations podcast. Welcome back to the Art Versations podcast, or welcome if this is your first tune in. Thank you for joining me. I'm sitting in a very hot and very landscape of the city apartment in Roncesvalles with my lovely dear friend, Tavia Christina.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
Good. How are you?
Good. Are you going to lean over the entire time?
I don't know. I'm just trying to see.
We're sitting on the floor
of my apartment because it's really hot today.
It's a hot one.
Yeah, there's like a heat wave.
Yeah.
And this building's really old, so there's no AC. I'm working on it though. I'm working on getting AC unit.
Thank you for doing this. I'm really glad that we get to reflect on our process for the Fringe show that we're producing right now, because it's been kind of a whirlwind of up and downs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious to see where we're at right now, where we need to go past this, and what we've learned.
Yes.
It'll feel like a past, present, and future moment.
It truly is.
Yeah.
Because we're still in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's present, but we're being reflective right now, and also talking about what's to come in the next few weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, we open on the 7th.
Yeah.
And by the time this comes out, it'll be a week and a half.
Oh my God.
To showtime. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's happening.
Here we are.
we can't go back now.
No. And I've thought about that so many times during the process too. I was this is a moment where I need to give up, or this is a moment where I need to reassess. But no, you just keep trudging, and now we're almost less than 2 weeks away.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy.
We definitely both have had moments where we're like, can we do this? Separately, I think.
Yeah.
But also together.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's we should back out.
We should stop. Yeah.
And I also feel it's kind of illegal to do this for some reason. I feel I'm in this really secretive speakeasy making art with people, and
Stop.
I'm is this allowed? But it's totally allowed.
It is
totally legal.
But
it feels
I guess post-pandemic too, it's
yes.
everything feels wrong.
Right.
Well, I guess not post, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We're still in it, but we're not. But we're in the ramifications of the height of it.
Yes. Hopefully we're on a decline, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're forever changed by it too.
Yes.
And so I guess this whole illegality or not so certain of what feels right is so valid.
Yeah, because it is a feat to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the project, though, I want to hear about, because it's been a little while since we've spoken together, I want to hear a little bit about a piece of art that's been inspiring you or invigorating you to continue to make art and to continue to be an artist.
I'm very late to the game on this specific example, but I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once by Daniels.
So good.
Featuring Michelle Yeoh, which she's fantastic in general.
Oh, good. So layered.
Yeah, and obviously her background is friggin' phenomenal, and to see her in not necessarily a super dramatic, serious piece, but there's undertones of that, and it's just wow, you're so eclectic as an artist.
Yes.
And so strong.
Yeah.
Oh,
strong in her emotional delivery.
Yeah. It just took
Couldn't agree more.
On such a wild ride. I remember watching it because I watched it in theaters literally a week ago. So yeah, very, very late to the game. I think in respect to everyone else. I just didn't expect to be on that ride. I didn't know from watching the trailers, because typically I would watch a trailer before I see the movie, just to what am I getting myself into?
Sure.
And I didn't expect anything to go down the way it went down. Like, it's emotional, it's raw, it's hilarious, it's awkward. And, like, they touched on so many nuanced topics in such an appropriate way. Like, multiverse, true connections, time jumping, love, and believing in yourself. Like, they're so difficult to talk about in, like, a professional, quote-unquote, way, I guess. Yes. Or, like, a serious way. And I found that they did it so well. Like, it wasn't gimmicky. Like, it wasn't weird, or it wasn't, like, new age spiritualist. Like,
right. It didn't feel predictable.
No, and it just felt so real, and that's what I really loved about it. And, yeah, it made me so emotional.
I totally agree.
Yeah, like, the husband, he stole the show for me. I was like, ooh.
At first I thought he was Jackie Chan because of his martial arts skills. He was so, like, embodied it when he turned into the, like, other version of him.
The other version of himself.
Right?
Yeah.
But then to see that he also could, like, physically drop into this very, like, human pedestrian.
Yeah.
So, like, the range, you know? Like, incredible.
Yeah. It was friggin' fantastic.
Totally agree. That's a great piece of art right now. Well, let's jump into Phantasmagoria, the show that we're going to produce at the Fringe Festival. And obviously you're here representing NEAR&FAR Projects, like that company in its separate form, and I'm just here to hop on the train and enjoy myself as your associate producer. But tell me a little bit about where NEAR&FAR Projects comes from. You've been a guest before, so people can go back and listen, but maybe it's changed since you've been back, since you were last on the pod.
Oh yeah, definitely. So NEAR&FAR Projects was co-founded in late fall 2016 between myself, Tavia, Christina, and Rachel Ficini. The two of us wanted to create a platform for emerging dance and movement artists to either perform, create, and just essentially, like, push emerging art forward, because we found that there wasn't too many existing at the time when we were in university. We were like, oh, how are we supposed to do things ourselves while we're stuck at school?
Yep.
Like, do things outside.
Yes.
Where is that?
It was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and so, not that we're, like, pivotal or monumental in changing, but we wanted to do something for ourselves too. And I feel like fast forward 6 years later, which is crazy because, like, that's a long time. I would say that our goals of, like, trying to create this emerging hub community have been on track. We've done several events together that bring in various emerging artists, such as, like, New Blue Dance Festival or Long Winter, and we also have done our own things like creating art parties or just producing work itself. One of our more successful events was a show that you were in, actually, Bri.
Hey!
Entitled Demos Ex Phobos, and that team was comprised of just emerging artists through and through, like crew, music, dance, the choreographers themselves.
Such a dedicated team of people to make that happen.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Especially in, like, one of our integral years of school too.
Yeah.
Jeez. And yeah, our goals are still the same, to create and continue to create opportunities for emerging artists.
Very needed in Toronto, especially because the last 2 years, I feel like, have put a damper on emerging artists' ability to make work. Or to make live work, I should say. And I feel like that sometimes makes their passion dissipate. At least it did for me.
Oh, it did for me too.
Right? Like,
for sure.
If there's nothing to, like, live up to and work for, then
like, what's the point?
I have to go and
Where's
work
my practice?
somewhere else. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I've been a part of this company for a while, and I immediately caught on to the fact that you and Rachel both, you know, really were making work, plus making sure that you supported other artists. And I think that's just such an incredible feat. and also something that I like want to do myself. So it as soon as I like joined on, I think the first thing I did was like a music video with Venus Flytrap is their Instagram handle. But I remember that was my first thing coming to Toronto.
No
It was
way.
like my first work, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be in a music video. But also the fact that I was gonna be working with you and working with Rachel and like
yeah, because we've known each other for a long time.
Yes, the two of us.
Those competition days.
You know where it is.
You know where it starts.
It started there, and thankfully has moved on from that. And I think just the environment that you both create in the room is, it's not just that like there's a hierarchy, and I feel like you both work with us and work with your dancers, and I appreciate that, and that's why I've stuck out here for 6 years now.
And we love you so much. Yeah,
I'm so grateful.
Me too.
A lot of my like early work has been with you.
That's
Rachel.
crazy to think about.
Yeah, so yeah, it feels very full circle that I get to jump on and help produce you.
Yeah, it is full circle indeed.
Yeah.
Phantasmagoria would not exist without you right now.
Phantasmagoria would not exist without you, Tavia. And it would not also exist without the Fringe Festival. We started this show, I feel like I should preface, we started this show in 2020, before the pandemic became a huge monster. And it was going to happen with 2 separate performances. Like, it was going to be like a split bill. Mm-hmm. And then obviously it deferred, and I'm so grateful that Fringe allowed us to continue to make this work. But now it's transformed into a full show, 43 minutes, completely new work. I don't think you've taken any choreography from past stuff.
No.
So this is like new, developed, completely original work, which I think is very exciting. It follows 2 partners who are literally at the brink of their relationship collapsing, which is such a resonated topic right now. But we view it through the eyes of like a Greek chorus type narrator called the Void. 4 of our dancers are playing this very integral part of how we see the 2 partners. And they're non-human. They're very like, they meet them in liminal spaces, between the spiritual world and the real world. So we constantly jump between those 2 things. Hence the name Phantasmagoria. I have to document it. People have been trying to say this word to me.
Oh, yeah.
In so many different ways. Have you gotten that experience too?
Yes. Some people have been like, they've just shortened it and been like Fanta.
Yeah.
Or like...
Fanta, like the drink?
Yeah, but with like the PH, so it's like kind of cute. But yes, it's Phantasmagoria.
Yeah. I didn't know this word before you introduced it to me, but I think it has such a great ring to it at the end of the day. Like, I hope more people actually learn about it. Can you tell me a little bit more about it in your research?
For sure. For
the show. How did you come up with this name?
Yeah, well, originally, as you were saying, it was supposed to be a part of the 2020 Fringe, but even before that, this existed as a part of Rachel and I's thesis project at Toronto Metropolitan University. So Phantasmagoria originally existed solely on paper, where I started mixing the realms between phantasmagorical theater, which is a form of theater that has many, many origins, but earliest starting around like the 1800s. And essentially, it was a form of theater where theater directors would come in and essentially call upon spirits, but through an essential form of lighting, which was lantern lighting. Mm. And they would like have mirrors around and have either, I guess, the actors or the artists like pass as the spirits. Yeah. But some would say, like audience members would say that it was real.
Yeah. The earliest forms of CGI.
Yes, like exactly.
Ghost appearances.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely do your research.
It's worth the research.
It's really, really interesting. And so I wanted to blend phantasmagorical theater and phenomenology. Sorry, there's so many big words.
I'll link a lot of these resources below.
Mm-hmm. And I mainly studied like Husserl's, which is the study of structures of experience and consciousness. So I took these two very light topics and wanted to ask how dance today blends these concepts. More so, how does one living alongside with spirit experience otherworldly factors and can physicalize them? So obviously this has changed drastically since my thesis and the pandemic and the rest of life having its effects of creating work, but bringing it back to life from page to almost having it in 2020 Fringe to now 2022 Fringe feels wonderful, to say the least. It feels like I've resurrected so many deep parts of myself that 100% were not ready to be shown until now.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the first time you're telling me this. Wow, okay.
Yeah, because I feel like outside of this, I've personally grown a lot since my 4th year. And yeah, it feels like it's finally ready to be opened and also closed.
Cool. So the book is literally on its last chapter, and then we do the thing, and then it's that conclusion. Oh, that's so interesting.
It's like you have this beautiful book, you pick it up, you look at it, and you're like, oh, this is great, and then you lose it.
Cool.
Or you fall away from it, you fall out of love with it, pick it up again, and you're like, yeah, let's do it again, and then put it back down, and then this is no, I'm finishing this book that I started.
Hey, I love that.
Yeah, and obviously not just reimagining the work, but revisiting the different versions of myself that originally started alongside this work have been really interesting to me, because it's you're looking into a pool of different versions of yourself through the exact same lens almost.
Yep.
And you're like, wait a second, why did I do that? Or how did I do it this way? Or how does it change now in respect to that version and whatnot?
Yeah, it's totally transformed.
Yeah.
Because you've transformed.
Yeah.
And I've transformed.
The world is transformed.
The world is fucking transformed. Wow. I didn't know that. That's really interesting throughout the whole process. That I'm so glad I'm hearing that now, because I feel yes, it's coming from a very personal place. If I can speak to that. As I've watched you basically bare your soul in this project and bring up past experiences with other people and really make sure that you're putting your personal story into it. I can imagine that's exhausting and terrifying, but worth doing.
Definitely worth it.
Cool.
I think by the end of Fringe, I will be something is just come out of my heart.
Oh, cool. I'm so glad I get to experience that and watch it happen, and also grateful that you're willing to do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why else do art?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that have gone into this show that I can see where it comes from in your life, but I also know that it's a separate thing from you, and we can divvy up art from artist
for sure,
and allow the audience to make their own interpretations from it.
Definitely.
But the fact that it comes from a very personal place is so important to it, because it feels like someone actually went through this, and we can feel the pain and watch it be unfolded.
Yeah, I feel a lot of my art in general comes from that sort of place. I don't think that I've ever really conceptualized a work where it didn't come from somewhere inside of me, whether that be my heart or my experiences or a thought or just a liking towards something and wanting to keep digging at it.
Right. Does it help you? Is it a therapy, or do you like to make sure that that's separate?
Sometimes I make a work and then I'm like, oh, that's what it's actually about. Once it's on stage, I'm like, oh shit. So
the process of doing it informs how you feel about it.
I think so. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll think it's one thing, to start, and then by the end of it, I'm like, oh wait, that's where it comes from.
Right.
It's upon reflection, you're like, oh wait, that's what the truth is behind this piece, and sometimes you don't even know until it's in front of you.
Yeah, or when it's done. Yeah. Interesting. No, that's really interesting just to hear from you as I'm watching, because I sit in on rehearsals, but I purposely am not choreographing it so that I can be separate because it is your story. But it's been such a treat to watch it transform over 2 years and then see how it's like completely different and we're all completely different.
Yeah, like the vision has transformed so much in the last 2 years.
But it's ready to be seen.
Yes, of course. But like originally, Rachel and I were just going to hash out 2 versions of the phantasmagorical realm. And in my version of the realm, because I can only speak to mine right now, it was actually supposed to be choreographed as a duet, but only shown performanced as a solo.
Right.
So originally it was supposed to represent, like each time the dancer would do it, it would be different. Like day 1, it would be one dancer. Day 2, it would be dancer 2. And so each time an audience would see it, you'd be like, oh, is something missing? Because they're doing these moves, quote unquote, in the hypothetical version 1, that look like it's supposed to be a duet. Like, where's the other dancer? And it was supposed to be programmed like a duet too.
Yes, I remember you saying.
Yeah.
Well, in a dream world, it would have been like a high hologram of a person, right? In
a high budgeted world, yes.
If we worked with Elon Musk on this, we could make it happen.
Yeah, in the metaverse.
Yeah.
Me and Mark.
Ew.
Could you imagine?
Yes.
But yeah, the other person like represented like the spirit or the version of the other person that didn't make it to stage, I guess.
Yeah. That's a feat. That's an interesting feat. Using technology to like literally program a person on stage.
Yeah. One day maybe that'll happen. Yeah, because I remember us first talking about it, I was like, I want this to be a theme park. Like, there's so many versions of this show that I want to see. Because, I don't know if you guys... Memo. Yeah! I don't know if you've ever been to... Audience members have gone to, like, Disney and have gone on the Haunted Mansion ride. But that was a big inspiration for the hologram.
I love it.
Yeah.
One day it'll be Phantasmagoria theme park.
Ride, yeah.
Theme ride.
Theme ride, theme park. Yeah.
Both.
That'd be cool.
We'll have merch. We'll have food.
It'll just be like bloody chaotic.
Edmund Husserl will be there somewhere.
Yeah, the hologram.
I love
Dead. That's funny.
Yeah, I feel like we should also mention our cast in this process because it's newly developed and completely original. I feel like from what I've watched, you have worked with them completely and made sure that their voice is hopefully heard. Yeah, our show would not be what it is without our dancers. Truly. At all. And I feel like we lucked out. We really so did. Hard. We had 45 submissions in our open call, and I can't imagine what that process like was to weave down 6 people, but I really feel like these 6 are like cream of the crop. Very much creme de la creme. Creme de la creme. Yes, Barbara Sims, Frederic Perron, Evan Webb, Eleanor Van Veen, Eilish and Colhane, Elvina Raharja are just... They are so integral. Yes. I'm so grateful for all of them, and I'm like... One of the biggest parts of me wanting to jump on this project is to be able to pay them well and to like truly give them and uplift them and have a moment on stage. I would love to join them, but I also like am very interested in just supporting their journey and allowing them to be seen because they're so fierce in their choices, so bold about coming into a room and literally starting from scratch. Like, yeah, and some of these dancers I've never worked with before, so like I have to just trust. You know? Lots of trust. So much trust. And like for the audience, you'll sort of understand through programming, but the 2 relationship characters are played by Evan and Eleanor. And Evan portrays like the essence of
duality in this piece. And to me, they perfectly capture what it means to battle between like the human self and like what that means in terms of like having raw emotions, having feelings and interpersonal relationships, and also the mundane world and how that affects the other version. And Eleanor has this amazing way of physicalizing what it means to be light, and not necessarily, again, in like a fluffy, like I'm perfect kind of way, but like very raw, like not light in a weighted way, but light as in like their whole being is radiant. I think the audience will understand more when they watch.
Yeah.
And audience, again, views this relationship between Evan and Eleanor through the eyes of the void, which is sort of like you were saying, a Greek chorus, however, more dark and deeply rooted towards otherworldly spirits. The void is played by Elvina Raharja, Barbara Sims, Eilish Colhane, and Frederic Perron. And yeah, the show wouldn't exist without these 4 dancers, just because they are the eyes.
Yes. They start us off too.
Yeah, they start us off.
To set the scene.
They set the scene. And when I was creating the images of the void inside my head or through, like, because I'm a visual learner, I like to mood board it up.
We love a mood board.
I imagine just this, like, unit of chaos and freedom simultaneously existing. Think something maleficent, but with empathetic intent for the individuals that they're watching.
Yeah, I don't think they're villains.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But that's essentially what the void is for us. And no matter what, they care about the outcome for these individuals that they're watching, even if it means causing a ruckus.
Yeah. Chaos.
So I had to find dancers that emulated this.
Yeah.
And through 45 submissions, we landed with these 6 brilliant people.
Brilliant artists.
And like more specifically, Elvina brings like this immense power and suppleness to movement, and they have an amazing ear for musicality. Barbara exudes fluidity, almost like the concept of change itself, and you need to be adaptable and follow for flow, or else it'll be extremely hard to like break free, and I feel like she could do that.
Yes.
And Eilish is just a powerhouse, to say the least. I feel like she can literally do anything, period.
Yep.
And it's like she can transform in an instant, which is, again, to the adaptability of the void.
Yes.
And Fred, ooh, first of all, her eyes are the most amazing thing.
She's so caring.
She's so caring, but she's also so enticing and seductive, and she knows how to like lure you in.
Yeah.
Her submission video, oh, it was just her walking towards the camera, and I was like, wow, okay, you sold me. Yeah. And I need you in this piece.
I remember using the word like commanding of the space.
So commanding.
Which is again, essential part of like opening the show.
Yes.
Like the 4 of them need to be powerful, and they, from the first rehearsal, brought that into
definitely.
The space. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that you've said about our cast. I
love them.
Every time I see them, I'm just like, thank you for being here.
Yeah, every time I'm like, so how was rehearsal for you? I love you so much. XOXO. Like,
thank you so much. My gratitude is like, it's just bonkers that we get to like have them in our piece. Like it really feels like such a dream.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same without them.
Yeah. So thank you, cast. And I can't wait to see you on stage. Equally, I feel like we should mention Braden Kruger for making this score, this musical score.
Yes.
I think his work has just been so important to creating the ambiance that we're going for. And I mean, I want to hear more about how you, because you've had his drafts for a while now, like how that influenced your choreographic process.
Definitely. I think, well, audience, the composer is actually a high school friend of mine, Braden Kruger. Like, we went to Cawthron Park Secondary School. We didn't talk so much like after that because life happens. And a mutual friend of ours was like, I was just so stressed about finding a musician. And I was like, I don't know who's going to pull the things that I need to be pulled in order for this show to sound like I want it to.
Yes.
And then my friend was like, yeah, message Braden. I was like, sure. And then he was just so down. And I think he's always just been like a very genuine and like open and talented person and musician. So it just matched so perfectly.
Yes.
He has this great gift of improvisation. And the two of us would just email or call back and forth, and we would discuss what sounds needed to be created for each section of the work. And every time he would send something back, I would just be like, oh, true. That's perfect.
Yeah.
How did you manage to pull that out of my head, translate it into yours, and then put it to sound? Like, it's insane. Like, I don't understand how that was possible, but he managed very well.
Very well. And like also totally went beyond my expectations, because I had no idea who he was. But just hearing that, like, from the first few drafts that you sent me, I was like, wait, so
this is perfect.
Have you worked with him before?
I know, right? No, I guess we just like clicked really well.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, like in a creative process, because we've also never worked together in a creative process, so it was really nice to just have this mutual understanding, or like our listening ears were always on for one another.
Amazing.
And before he got into his own process, I told him what I was inspired by, which was like the Caretakers album Everywhere at the End of Time, which is a fantastic, like, almost 9-hour album that everyone should listen to if you want to like feel destroyed for a little bit. It is an album that is based upon the sounds of someone forming dementia and then dying.
Yeah, listen to it.
There's a lot of like, I do love noise, like as a genre of music, and I feel like this perfectly blended noise and also very delicate sounds, or like they brought, because dementia, a big thing is like sound in order to remember, and so there would be like classical music playing at one point, and then it would be like very like I don't know how else to describe that, but it would like be deconstructive, and that's sort of what I wanted to emulate in some sections of this show, as well as artists that inspired me, like 100 gecs, or like very rave, chaotic, heavy bass music, and then mixed in with just melodic things that would entrance you. So it's very I feel like there isn't necessarily like too, like, it's not too eclectic, this piece, but there's a lot of sections. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, and you've even titled some of them like The House of Chaos at the beginning, The Ballad of the Fallen Angels later on. Like, there is that narrative in the choreo,
yes,
but also in the music.
Exactly.
Which is just, I mean, like, it, for me, as I'm sitting back and being an audience member, like, I get both senses. I get to receive both senses so vividly. I see the movement, but I also feel it and hear it from the music. Yeah. And I'm just so, like, baffled that we were able to do that for a new developed work.
Agreed.
Like this early on.
Yeah. And I feel like sound is very integral for my creative process. Like, as much as I love, like, reading or visualizing things and translating it to movement is integral for my creative process, I can't start a work unless I feel motivated by sound a lot of the times. And, like, yes, I can move to silence, or I can move to natural noises. But in order to create something, I think I need sound. Period. I don't know.
You need the beat.
I need a beat. Yeah, I need something that's driving me, that's not just myself. Like, absolutely. I need an outside source, if that makes sense.
Oh my gosh, I completely resonate with that. For me, it's like a heartbeat.
Yeah,
it, like, keeps me alive in my process. Or else I just flatline.
Yeah.
Because, like, my own internal rhythm isn't enough. I need that guide. I need that external musical guide. And just going back to Braden too, like his master's degree is in percussion. So he has such a great knowledge already of like truly keeping the beat like even and alive and rhythmical.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hear that in his work. And yeah, I feel like it creates such a great ambiance while not distracting us from the movement.
Yes, 100%. Because I feel like the sounds that he created aren't necessarily like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like it's very
syncopated.
Yeah, syncopated. And so choreographically, it's hard to match that too at the same time, because
yeah,
you're like,
we're having trouble finding that rhythm sometimes.
Yeah, I'm like, where's the 6? Where's the 1?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm hearing it here, but y'all are hearing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And which is really nice though, because like in the sections like House of Chaos, that's the whole point.
It's chaotic.
It's chaotic. Girl, it's so chaotic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it informs the journey that we're about to go on throughout this whole piece. Like, this relationship is in chaos.
It's a narratively chaotic show.
The emotions are like up and down, side to side, like. But what is definitely constant is just like the fact that the music is going to be so entrancing and right there with you.
Yeah,
it's the
pulls you into.
Yeah, it's the musical, like the song that would play during the theme ride.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. Literally.
You go up the mountain, then you go down, and then you go up, and then you go down.
So many screams all the way through.
Yeah, Braden, I'm so glad you're a part of this. And then going back to mood boards and like finding a color scheme and a texture for the visuals of this piece, you put together an incredible Pinterest board of like.
I love Pinterest.
Pinterest is great for finding the influences that you need. The board is like for me, like it's pirate just coming out of the ocean, but also like sexy and battered, and like it feels like a sea creature that's coming out and trying to be on land and like being like, I'm overdressed, you know, like this is not how I should be looking, but at the same time very iconic and like world changing. Yes,
I feel like because I grew up on Tumblr a lot, Pinterest has become my best friend in my growing age. Because no one uses Tumblr anymore. I mean, I personally do sometimes, but
my account is deactivated, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
I would go back to it, but yeah.
But yeah, like when we first started talking about the show, I showed you the mood board. That's not like the costumes specifically, but like what visual photos or videos helped represent what was in my head. Very much liminal space.
Yes. Those images were great too.
Yeah. I love anything that exists in that space. Like think old photos that you have resurfaced from your photo album when you were a kid, but you're not in those images. It's just the space itself.
It's so creepy.
It's great. So creepy. Yeah. It's so alluring. It's so like I've been here before, and I remember what it's like to be here. And I think that's very much the essence of this show too, something familial. These different like dark or light figures existing within the photos, or just like these forest-looking creatures were in the mood board too.
Yes.
But specifically for costuming, like you were saying, costuming's so hard for dancers because you have so many brilliant ideas of like fabric, shape, and like headpieces and whatnot that you like, if you can't rework it, like, or if you can't work it into your process from the beginning, it's gonna be really difficult. And like I found that out through like just experiencing it because you always have to go back to the question, can they dance in this?
Yes.
Can they dance in this? Is it gonna fall off?
Yeah.
Is it too heavy? Are they gonna sweat? Like just that's the sole question you have to keep asking yourself when purchasing or making or creating costumes. And so in the mood board, again, the aesthetic is very whimsical, gothic, think like Suspiria or The Craft, like to give it a more pedestrian look. Or Dune. Yeah, specifically the Bene Gesserits, though. Those people, powerful AF.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of dark, nude, muted palettes.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed, as I was saying, love Pinterest, creating these mood boards. I love seeing my thoughts through visual images, and it helps me contextualize a lot of things that exist in my head. And you're like, oh wait, it actually exists in real life too. Nice. Nice. It's not just me.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can bring it into this like heightened reality almost.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so finding these, like sourcing these objects, are like another challenge in itself.
I would say we've spent at least 7 hours just searching. Yeah.
Yeah, all of our costumes
and we're also on a budget. So.
Yeah, all of our costumes are secondhand because we're trying to save the environment. Sustainability, girl.
Theater.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know if you could create it by hand because it's so tattered and so layered, and it seems like, as you were saying, like washed ashore. So you can't create something brand new that's like feels like it's been lived in or has like been worn by so many other people.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Of course, yeah. I mean, we have Alvina on our team who is such a great like designer and
stylist,
mixed crochet.
I'd say.
Yep, stylist, absolutely. But it has helped us to get to an attempt of starting from scratch and then making something distressed.
Yeah, she helped us costume a couple of layers for this piece. She's just so talented.
So talented, yeah.
She distressed some of like the top layers that her and the Void will be wearing.
Yeah, another example of like why we picked these artists, because they're not just performers.
They're so multifaceted.
And
they could bring their whole selves. Yeah. Like this version, I didn't think of Elvina would like come into the show, but then she was like, no, I can do it. Yeah. It's like, oh, really?
Yeah, cool. Elvina was like, I also have like a separate store. Yeah. I was like,
here's my closet. Like,
this is great. It really lucked out, and we really lucked out. I want to transition a little bit into speaking about the motifs, specifically like the choreographic narrative. You know, we start with movement that is very like fragmented at the beginning, and then it starts to become much more like about the natural elements like wind and water. And I'm curious to hear like these are things I'm picking up and maybe you didn't pick up on, or you didn't consciously make those choices. Yes. But like it's cool to see how those motifs have come out. Maybe because of who you are and the way that you work. So. I don't know. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it, but
no, don't. I love it. I think you're right to say that like it is a part of me. Like I very much would rather be in a cottage forest by myself, just listening to the wind and talking to the little birdies.
I can absolutely see that for you. Yeah.
And so I feel like that definitely comes out naturally, and so maybe it isn't conscious all the time, but I definitely do work with like the elements a lot.
It's so clear. It's so clear in the movement of the Void, and like as I was learning a little bit of the choreo for some of our rehearsals, like it just feels like I'm like in a windstorm when I do it, which is not such a like internal thing like initiating it, but it's literally like the space around me that's initiating it into movement. Yeah. So I'm hoping that it's going to come across for audience members too, that like it really doesn't start from the internal. I think it comes from like it comes from us like trying to set a setting without using set pieces. Yep. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree, because it's like we're not a theater show right now. Like, yes, maybe you can call this a little aspect of dance theater because it's following a specific narrative. There's characters and there's a plot line, so to say. But again, we're not in a setting. We're not in a space that evokes some sort of setting. Like
there's no table and chairs.
No, we're just in a black box theater trying to evoke the exact same meaning. Yes. Which is like maybe harder. We're not using props, but choreographically I think it like definitely is a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, to have that be like the main element.
Because it's like, can you see it? I see it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, that's really cool. And yeah, just the motif of like duets. Like, I love looking at a duet and seeing the relationship between two people like on stage. And I think our Void also play into that, and like they break off into twos, and you get to see, like, if you come to the show, like you get to see such a like tension between two people and how that comes apart and how it comes closer like a magnet.
Yes.
And it's definitely shown in Eleanor and Evan's work. And just the way that they've been working together, like I just am so curious about how their relationship has formed, because it literally is so visible in the choreography.
Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, because I feel like they've gotten closer too. Since the process. They've also worked together outside, but yeah, it's like they're always placed together and whatnot, so maybe there's a reason for it.
They do have chemistry, I would say.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
is very important for a duet.
Yeah. And I feel like the only time where we see someone by themselves is when, well, if you come see the show.
Yeah, don't give spoilers.
Yeah. There is a moment where there's only one dancer on stage. I'll say that. And I feel like that is a very big marker for the show. It's supposed to feel very apologetic and self-actualizing, if that's a word. Yep.
And well, this is the dance theater, I think, that you're talking about. Like, it really is not just a solo. There's a point of having one person on stage.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's to say, oh shit, this is what I've been doing to someone that I care about. Holy fuck. How does that other person feel right now? But I can't say sorry to them because we're in so much turmoil. But also, how does that make me feel knowing that I've been this type of person? Does that make sense?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. I see it happening in the narrative. And I'm proud of the fact that we are giving both perspectives a voice. Like, I'm glad that we're not saying there's an antagonist and a protagonist.
It's just very two people experiencing a tough situation. A situationship.
A situationship. Yes, totally. I'm going to refer to it from now on.
Yeah, because not either of those people are wrong. It's just they weren't right for each other.
Yeah, there's no canceling in this show. We're not cancel culturing people in this show.
No, I feel like that's horrible.
It's not needed. Yeah, there's so many interesting motifs that carry us through. And then we end with this, like, I don't want to give it away, but, like, we want the audience to be a part of the ending. So we finish with this final exercise, I'll call it, and that's all I'm going to say about it after that. But then we want people to stay afterwards to be in conversation with us, literally, through our voices. So if you come to the show, like, don't leave as soon as they do their bows. Stay a while. Converse with us. Chat. Stay a while. Because I think after no text in the show, it'll be great to have an audience participation talking about it.
Yeah, seeing dance, if you're not a dancer or, like, have been exposed to dance or choreography and whatnot, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people don't fucking understand what we're doing.
Right.
And that's fine.
Yep.
Because I don't understand what we're doing either, but we're doing it through movement, and I can understand how someone who isn't physical or doesn't understand physicalizing an emotion, like, that's hard. That's so hard. And they're like, yeah, like, I don't get it. Like, cool, what didn't you get?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's figure it out. Because obviously, it's not like nothing happened in the 43 minutes, but sometimes if we don't reflect on it, then all of a sudden it just goes over our heads.
Yeah, and you're like, I just saw a dance show. Yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Then moving on. Yeah, like, I don't know. I want there to be more conversation, so I was really grateful that you also wanted to do something like this, because like, let's use our time wisely. To not just dance, but talk.
Yeah, because I feel like, firstly, this is one of the only times that I've done something that has such clear narratives. I feel like I'm very much like an abstract
yes, you are.
dancer or choreographer, and I don't necessarily, not that I don't like it, I just find it really difficult to translate clearly, like, a narrative. And so that in itself was a challenge, but I feel like in the bare bones of this process, I always wanted to make sure that, like, what's being translated, what's being shown, like, how can I make this so accessible to a non-dancer eye?
Yes.
Or just for someone who has gone through a similar experience, how can they see themselves somewhere in this show? And so I feel like having that, like, little Q&A at the end will allow someone to, I don't know, listen a little bit more, or feel like they can like find themselves more through vocalization.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's great is that we actually don't know what's going to happen. Like, we don't know. This is what is exciting to me, because, like,
come in, ask your questions. I want to hear them.
Yeah.
If you're like, I hated this part.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's okay.
Why did you hate it? I want to know what, not necessarily triggered you, but, like, what made you feel such a state.
Right. Because, like, it's live. So we're getting people at different points in their day.
Yes.
At different states. And now what's so exciting is that we get to, like, process it together, even if it was a failure.
Yeah.
You know? Like, even if nothing translated and they didn't receive anything, we get to at least acknowledge that.
Yes, and then move forward from there.
Move forward, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so stay with us. Don't give up too quickly, I hope.
Yeah, no, I have faith in y'all.
Yes, me too. And I'm so glad that they get to join us on this journey. Speaking of challenges that we've been through, you and I. Life
has gone through a whirlwind in the last 6 months.
In the last 6 months, yes. Specifically, like, February until now. Like, starting this show. And I'll just speak on my experience, because I can't speak for you, but this is my first time producing, and I was so terrified to make that choice. But I also knew that I could trust you and could trust our dancers and our team to bring us through it and to overcome it. And I, we're not there yet, but I also am so grateful for what we've done so far. I feel very, very lucky that I get to be in this position to be able to produce, especially after a pandemic. And I'm wanting to give out as much trust to my team and to you, because I am usually a creator who will try to control everything. Like, just being so honest and blunt about it. Like, my perfectionism has come out through this process. I can be honest about that, and I'm sure you've seen it. But I'm learning to give up and to let go of, like, the expectations, because it's a newly developed work. We're at the Fringe. It's been 2 years since performance could even happen. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity in all of its challenges to see what comes about, because it's like, for me, it's like really perfect timing. Not perfect, because I'm not supposed to be a perfectionist, but, like,
it's true timing.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. Those are my, like, biggest challenges, I think.
Well, our relationship started off, like, so different. Like, obviously we, like, barely knew each other through comp and whatnot, but, like, obviously through university and whatnot, it developed to more, like, I am the choreographer and you are the dancer type of role kind of thing. Yeah. And, like,
which is fine by me. Which is fine. Yeah.
Because you are such an amazing artist. Like, I've always enjoyed watching you dance and watching you perform and even choreograph yourself. Like, you're so creative and you're so fun and you're so commanding when you perform. Like, I always knew that you were going to be someone important to me in my life. And, like, when you showed up at university when I was in second year and you were in first year, I was like, oh, shit. It's going to keep going.
Thanks, friend.
Yeah, and we're friends. So, like, obviously, what is challenging always is working with your friends. And, like, you have to, like, only now in the last couple of years have I realized how integral it is to keep that friendship alive first and make sure, like, the people that you care about still care about you by the end of the project, or else it's like, what the fuck did you just do? You killed two things with one stone? Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, our relationship has changed in the last 5 years in general, but specifically through this process too. Like, I am being honest, like, this is the first time where I've had to take on more of an individual role, like, just for this process for Fringe. I'm the main choreographer, and like typically Rachel and I would just co-choreograph, so it's been interesting to like have all of the creative responsibility like on my back, and you're like, I just have to trust myself that it's gonna work, but at the same time I love validation,
which I'm learning about. Like, I feel like the 5 love languages. It's also like the 5 creative languages. Of like, what does your partner need? Because I'm usually someone who wouldn't give words of affirmation, but I want to do that for you now. And we've learned like about that through this process.
And it's not that like I want you to tell me that, oh yeah, Tavia, like that's perfect, but you're like, no, but like I respect like you're making good creative choices, like as your producer. I respect that. And I'm like, oh fuck yes, sick. But I'm
learning about that now.
And I feel like because it's both of our first times, people butt heads, and like humps happen. You just gotta get over the hump back and make sure that you communicate with and like listen as well. And I feel like we've done such a good job at doing that. Like, there was a point where the two of us were like, fuck, what, something's not going wrong. And like, to personally delve on that, like, I was going through a lot at the moment, and I needed like more support in order to get through this process, or else I feel like the show wouldn't have gone on, because I just wasn't in a place like emotionally and mentally where I felt like I could carry on. And I'm so grateful that you bared that weight for me at that point. And now that I'm coming out of it, like, more and more I'm having my footing and whatnot, getting back to stable grounds.
Yes, I see it.
Yeah, it's just so nice to like lean on someone for a while, but like know that by leaning, like, you're giving weight. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And like, that weight is powerful too.
Yes. Like, at one point I think I described it as like, we're both butting heads, like 2 pieces of land coming together, but then we make a mountain.
Yeah, little tectonic plate.
Exactly, yeah. And I realized at first, like, I was like, oh no, like, we're gonna make an earthquake, like, this is not good. Like, this is where my perfectionism was like, everything should be fine and everyone should be like happy all the time. And then I was like, no, wait a second, we're human. Yeah. We're going through a lot of emotions separately, but also together. So like, I recognized that, but also knew that like we would come out of it making a mountain and making something strong. And like, at this point in the process, like, I feel like we can handle anything now.
Agreed. Like, I feel like if we didn't have that moment where we made that beautiful Mount Kilimanjaro, like
totally.
Yeah, we would have just fallen.
Yeah.
And like, we would have felt so down. And I feel like if we didn't talk or express how the two of us were feeling at that time, it would have just like, we would have just brushed it aside.
Yeah.
Which has happened to me in other creative processes with other people. And like, it's so important to talk about how you feel in reflection or in the present or in the future about your relationships. Or I don't know, I've learned so much about like trying to honestly communicate with someone and just also honestly listen. And this has been a great form of exercise to like have it happen in real time. And like see a greater outcome, because the two of us were respectful and mature in order to just see each other for not just, you're the producer, you're the choreographer. Like, no, like, we're people.
We're humans. Totally. Totally. I'm so grateful that you also like wanted to communicate. Like, I've been in processes where I haven't had a voice, and it's like so hard to shout out into nothing, like, and no one's listening. So I hope that I've done that for you, and like, I'm so glad that you like feel open to do that for me. And and I feel like that's what's carried us through, and it makes our relationship stronger. I truly agree. And we love each other still, and that's what's important. We do. Love prevails. Love prevails. Going back to everything everywhere all at once, love always is the answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Before we go, we have a couple people that we need to thank.
Yes, a round
people.
of thanks.
A huge round of applause to the Heliconian Club for having a space for us to make this work.
Yes. The Heliconian Club, if you don't know what it is, please research, and if you can, donate to them, because it is a beautiful, integral space in Toronto.
They're the gem of Yorkville, right?
Yes, the gem of Yorkville.
That's all you need to know, really.
I've been the resident dance artist there for the last 2 years, and without their facility and their support, the show would not have a place to rehearse in, and I wouldn't have a place to expel my inner demons. Yeah. Also, someone who deserves a huge thanks is the Community One Foundation for supporting NEAR&FAR Projects' work of Phantasmagoria through their general granting program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very important.
It feels so special
really
to
does.
receive that type of support.
Yeah.
Because it feels like both of our, their foundation and also our company align through our ethos.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for them to be able to create a platform for queer artists and for such a loving and warming community of people, like during their ceremony, like I just felt like the energy was just so like
so high,
yeah,
open,
yeah,
so grateful.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we were getting a grant. It felt like we were getting a hug.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, that's possible right now.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, and being an emerging artist, like it's special when you get that. Yes. That first little. Yeah. Act of validation, I guess.
And it wasn't like our only grant. This was like what, 4 grants that we wrote?
Yes.
5 or something?
Yeah,
like it was a lot.
There was a lot of grant writing this show.
So it goes to show that like it actually works if you put your mind to it, but also there's still not enough funding for Ontario artists. Just gonna put that out there. Yes, Community One, thank you so much. Also, big thank you to Fringe for just being so cool to keep our spot. Yeah. It was so lovely to receive that.
Thank you so much for keeping NEAR&FAR Projects alive.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Fringe. Thank you, all the team of people at the Fringe. They're so wonderful. Of course, a big thank you to Braden Kruger for the score. And I personally just want to give like so many thank yous to Olivia Seward for just helping us to stage manage this show. I met Olivia through some other projects, so I'm just really grateful that she wanted to come on this one. Mm-hmm. She's been wonderful.
A lot of her work will be coming up in the next few weeks, and we're so excited to see it unfold.
Yes. I think she's going to be perfect for this. No, but not perfect. She's going to be wonderful. She's going to be right. She's going to be delightful. And a big thank you to our cast.
Big thank you to our cast.
Thank you. Thank you for putting your bodies through all of that. Take care, everybody's. And then I'd also want to just say a big thank you to Adriana Martin Del Campo and Krista Nui for helping to document the show and hopefully giving us a relic. Yes.
That will live on for a while.
Legacy. Loving it. Yes. Thank you to those two. And I also wanted to plug Moose Hide Campaign. Please consider donating if you have the means. It's National and Indigenous Peoples Month. So it's no other time than now to do it.
This is a campaign that I really love. It comprised of male identifying and also two-spirited individuals who want to end violence towards women, children, and two-spirited individuals as well. So please, if you have the means, donate to this wonderful campaign.
That will all be below in the description. Anyone else we need to thank? Thank you, Tavia.
Thank you, Bri. We're supporting ourselves.
We're gonna thank ourselves.
We're a 2-people show.
Well, yes. 2 people plus a mountain of people. Everyone's on our mountain. We're all at the top of the mountain right now. Phantasmagoria is gonna be only shown 4 times, so you have to get your tickets. July 7th, July 9th, July 11th, and July 12th at the Al Green Theater, which is inside the Miles Nadal Jewish Community Center. Come and join us. Come and stay afterwards.
You can get your tickets at torontofringe.com/show/Phantasmagoria.
Very well done, memorizing all that.
Thank you.
Yeah, get your tickets. Please come and join us. Let's make some art.
Let's make some art. Let's showcase live art.
Thank you, Tiggs.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Art Versations podcast. Please help the podcast community continue to grow by clicking subscribe or follow on your podcast platform and leave a review. As well, follow the podcast on Instagram at ArtVersationsPod. You'll find photos of the guest you just heard, plus highlights and quotes from each episode. Let's keep the art versation going. Send in a DM with your thoughts about art and any questions you might have for guests. Special thank you goes out to Jen Marquez and Maxim Bartnowski for their contributions. And thank you, listener. Till next time.